Hello and welcome to another episode of the Monday Night Wars. Just thought I'd add some emphasis there, see how it would go. Did you like that, Joseph?
I'm introduced now.
Yeah, I'm trying something new. God, it's September 30th, 1996. I am Scott, and with me, as always, and belatedly introduced because he didn't know when to come in, is Joseph Rojas. Joseph, how are you, my friend?
I am good. I got some things to talk about before we get into.
Oh, we've got news?
Yeah, we got some news.
Hold on. Let me do it for you.
This week on Wednesday, the Vince McMahon documentary aired on Netflix. So that was the first thing, which I figured I'd touch on real quick. It wasn't great. I mean,
You mean the content wasn't great?
no, the product.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of depends, right? I was talking to a friend at work and I said, if you don't know anything about wrestling, then this is probably like horrific to watch. If you know anything about Vince McMahon, this is tame. It's like wrestling fans are like, yeah, whatever. Like, not that it's like we should, not acknowledge what a horrible person he is, but it's like it didn't really accomplish anything, I don't feel like. If anything, it really like it changed narrative a few times. To me, it felt like they clearly started it as a puff piece for him. Because remember when they started it, he was with WWE. And so he's doing a bunch of interviews and stuff. And then when the allegations came out in, I think, 2022 or whenever it was, then they kind of pivoted. And so they started taking all the...
You kind of have to, right?
Right. But I also think like that should have just been the initial documentary more than anything, but like whatever. And so they pivoted. And so it had this really weird like tonal shift where they couldn't decide if they wanted to celebrate him or if they wanted to, basically say he's a monster. And the whole premise of it was like, is Vince McMahon, the on-screen character, the same thing as Vince McMahon, the person, right? And that's kind of what they were trying to go for. And I think they just really missed the mark on it because they'd have moments where it was like, yeah, he's absolutely the same person. Then they have moments where they backtrack and they're like, oh, no, not really. Like, that's clearly somebody else. Granted, everything that came out of his mouth was fucking ridiculous. It just was. I don't know. It fell flat for me. We also have a brand new Patreon subscriber. So I wanted to shout out Simon Gilderoy, who just subscribed. I think it was yesterday that he just subscribed at the time of recording this, which this is 9:28 when we're doing it. I think he subscribed yesterday.
Hell yeah.
So there's
Simon.
Yes. Yeah. Appreciate you, Simon. Thank you for joining us. You will get obviously all the pay-per-view episodes, all the long versions of these episodes, which we just started doing. You will get those too. And then anything else that we put on to that, like when we much later in the future do the Thursday episodes. One more interesting thing about Patreon. So I touched on this, I think last week, or I briefly touched on it. They added this new thing where you can sell posts. And so I was looking at how that works. And it essentially, I can take a post, like let's say one of our pay-per-views, the most recent one was Mind Games, and I can sell that post for a price. So if you don't want to subscribe, you can just purchase that pay-per-view. So here's what I'm doing. I'm making those things like $10 per pay-per-view because I don't think either of us really give a shit about you buying each one. We'd rather just have you as a, $2 a month gets you all this fun stuff, and that's it. So we're gonna make those. If you really want them, you can go for them, but I'm not. I think it's just nicer and easier for everybody if you want them. Just $2 a month. It's that simple. Doesn't cost very much.
Plus, Daddy needs his $12 a year.
Absolutely.
Take it to Vegas. Make it minus $12.
Oh, I also do want to thank Wes Avendano for joining us last week. Obviously, Scott was dead, and he's back alive. And he
just
joined,
like Taker, man.
Absolutely. And he joined for that episode. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Wes. He also promoted us on all his social media, which was very nice. We got a lot of traffic through that. Our Spotify users went up to 50 on Spotify. On everything, we're at 77, which again, we just continue to climb. Not, super, super high, but a lot a lot better than I think either of us expected. So appreciate that, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We appreciate, and as I often say, we're really just doing this for fun. And we really don't care how many people we have listening. We're just really happy that there's even a small amount of you that enjoy it. So it's worth it. It's worth it. But Joseph, can we now get to the friggin' podcast? Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It's September 30th, 1996, and we are in Cleveland, Ohio for the WCW Nitro. Very exciting. Very exciting. It's our number one. And we got Tony Schiavone and Larry Zbyszko. And we start with an apology from Eric Bischoff. He apologizes for the NWO hijacking Nitro when everyone else was off in Japan. I can't believe that happened, Joseph. I can't believe when everyone was in Japan and they kept telling us up before, everyone's going to be in Japan next week. I can't believe the NWO hijacked it. I'm just appalled by this behavior.
It's absolutely strange and unbecoming of them, as it were.
It absolutely is. I was disgusted. Eric was disgusted. And I know our listeners were disgusted too.
I will say I did enjoy Bischoff's promo here. I thought it was very solid.
But let's keep talking. Let's talk about the tag team champions. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Public Enemy.
Uh-huh.
They're the tag team champions.
Sure are.
And they're going up against Juventud Galera. I'm rolling those R's.
That's going to be a new TikTok from Jamie. I guarantee it.
I'm going to roll that hard, bro. I'm going to see. Next time I'm going to just keep rolling them until I run out of breath. We'll see how far I can go. And El Technico.
Yep.
Billy Kidman.
Yes.
Joseph, this is a 2-minute match. This is what we in the business call a squash match. Tell me about it.
El Technico, like you said, is Billy Kidman, and I don't know why. Like, there's no real reason for it. Just let him be Billy Kidman. Public Enemy get an insane amount of, like, offense, and this is, like you said, a squash match. They just dominate this entire match, and there's really, at no point did they look like they could lose, and they eventually flip El Technico onto a table, and I gave this a D. I wasn't impressed with any of it. I didn't think this match needed to happen.
I was shocked to see that Public Enemy put someone through a table.
Yeah.
We go backstage, and Mike Tenay is still doing the interviews because apparently they're still fighting over Mean Gene's contract or something.
Yeah,
yeah. And he's talking to Chris Benoit, Steve Mongo McMichael, and Deborah. I
think this is where it starts, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Deborah do a lot of talking.
She does. He does mention to Mongo that he's confused because Mongo isn't even scheduled to wrestle tonight. And then Mongo says, everyone saw what happened last Monday and it won't happen again. Where you see one horseman, you'll see all the horsemen. Real quickly, this is going to be like the one horseman you saw last Monday was technically Miss Elizabeth, and that's kind of the point they're making. So this will continue as a strand, as like, one for all for one kind of a thing. So we'll see that play out more in the night. Then Deborah says she wants to say something to the whole wrestling world. Mongo got his Super Bowl ring by being a team player, and that's what we're here tonight for, to support one of the four horsemen. And then Benoit says about his match tonight against Rick Steiner that Steiner has a long list of accolades and quite the reputation, but tonight he's against the best, and tonight he's going to make a statement. The horsemen are unparalleled, elite, perennial. This wasn't necessarily good, but I do think at least the promo was completely coherent from all three people, so I gave this a C.
I did like the Mongo line about, we saw, as you said, we saw what happened, and so now we're going to roll together. Like, that makes sense. I'm okay with this. But then they just get completely outdone, because we head over to the New World Order suite at the Cleveland Marriott, where Six is ordering room service and gives us the room number, which I think is just a terrible idea on a live program. Because even if they're not at the Cleveland Marriott, people are gonna go to Cleveland Marriott now and start pounding on that door.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
people went. You know this was a problem for the Cleveland Marriott.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's great. They're in the hotel room. Hulk Hogan's son Nick is there.
Yeah, I have a note here that says Nick's mom is Hogan's wife, obviously at this time, and Nick Hogan would grow up to do big things too, like repeated DUIs.
Yeah, he killed the guy. He drove recklessly and flipped his vehicle, and his passenger died.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's not an allegedly.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. You know, Ted DiBiase talks about how WCW's having to pay them now because they lost at War Games. Hogan, I think I got it. Hogan calls his son Nasty Nick.
He does. He does. Yeah.
Boy's like 7 years old. What the hell? Nasty Nick at night.
Yeah, I don't think he meant anything like lewd by it, to be fair. I think he was just trying to find a name that was like, look at him, but it was whatever.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it, to be honest.
Nick at Night was popping at this
Yeah.
time. So it's a thing. Nick at Night's when they used to play like the classics, like the old shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you're old enough to remember that. Are you old enough to remember Nick at Night?
I remember Nick at Night. Jesus Christ, man.
I don't know.
I will say I was not a Nickelodeon kid.
Okay.
So it was not on very often, but I do remember Nick at Night, yeah.
I mean, you're like 12, so I forget.
Fuck you.
But there's just a whole lot going on here, Joseph, and I'm sure you took some notes. So why don't you tell me your favorite tidbits?
I really liked when Hall welcomed back all the WCW guys from Japan. That made me chuckle. Six, like you said, he wants to order room service. And then Nash at some point says Deborah McMichael wants him. And it made me chuckle. Overall, this is not the best segment for NWO. I gave it a C. I thought it was fine. Nothing great, nothing horrible. And I was just like, all right, we'll just move on to the next.
What a segue. Because we're moving on to the next. We got Alex Wright and we got Dean the Machine Malenko. Why didn't they ever call him that? I feel like that's a good one. 5 minutes, 17 seconds. Tell me about this.
Both Larry Zbyszko and Tony Schiavone say they don't trust women. I believe it. It was such a weird out-of-pocket line. Malenko has Mysterio's mask, Rey Mysterio. This is something that he will continue for the next few weeks. I don't know when he stole it. I don't remember it during a match or anything, but apparently he stole the mask. I don't know if you have anything on that. But he steals them.
It was on Saturday night because that's when.
Oh, that's when all the storylines.
That's when storylines happen. Yeah.
This is a very fun contest, by the way, and Alex Wright wins very surprisingly with a roll-up, and Malenko is understandably livid, which I think is very in line with what his character is slowly becoming, which is, the Iceman and, all that stuff. Schiavone says Alex Wright shocks the world in what I thought was a very great line. He shocked the world, but you know who he didn't shock?
Who, Joseph?
Ronnie Schmidt. Ronnie Schmidt knew he was going to win this the whole time. He got faith in his boy, Alex Wright.
Mm-hmm. The Wonder Kid. The Wonder Kid.
I gave this a B. I enjoyed this thoroughly.
I mean, it's Dean Malenko and Alex Wright. Of course you're going to like it. I thought it was pretty good. We got the flippy shit, and we like flippy shit. Speaking of flippy shit, Macho Man flipped the fuck out.
That is so good. You said speaking of flippy shit, I was like, I don't know where he's going with this. That's good.
Because we go back to 2 days ago on Saturday night, 6:05, where the storylines
go. Yeah.
Macho Man was wrestling Big Bubba, and Elizabeth was watching. Because she's apparently got the warm fuzzies for our Macho Man Randy Savage skin, which you and I kind of, we don't really like this angle. Yeah. They had a messy divorce. We don't really need to keep bringing this up, but they do for years.
Yep.
She's watching from the tunnel. Macho Man loses it, and he beat Nick Patrick's ass. After that, we're supposed to have an interview with the Macho Man. And I know, Joseph, the pump was primed for another one of your Macho Man promos. But there's no Macho Man.
Yeah, I was ready to take some notes, and then he didn't show up.
It's very unlike our Macho Man. Something must be going on. We don't know, though. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Has he been attacked? We're unsure. But what I am sure about is Eddie Guerrero is going to beat Jim Powers' ass because he's just a jobber. That's our next match, 6 minutes, 27 seconds. Tell me about it.
Nick Patrick is in a neck brace due to Monch punching him, and I love it. This will continue for weeks, and he is so good with it. A decent match ends in Nick Patrick confusion, where both men had their shoulders down in a bridge pin. It appears that Patrick chose Eddie as the victor simply because Teddy Long argued, which is honestly really great. I love that. Teddy Long says he'll get the blue shirt so he can make better calls. The only blue I want Teddy Long in is the blue brand, because Teddy Long, my favorite general manager of all time. Love Teddy Long. This is a fine match. It got a C. It's nothing amazing, but we're kind of off to a pretty decent. This isn't Nitro's best showing, but like everything is at least okay.
Which is better than anything WWF's going to put on. You just know. You just know. Fine is better. We go back to the Cleveland Marriott. And the Nasty Boys have arrived at the NWO suite because we're still doing this. We're still doing are the Nasty Boys in NWO or not? And I guess now they're in because they talk about how NWO does more for them than WCW. What did they do for you? What's going on?
Who knows, man?
And then,
who knows?
And then there's an Eric Bischoff impersonation that I laughed at because it was ridiculous.
Because it was literally just the Ace Ventura butt talk thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. I gave this a C. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I was like, most of the NWO things this night, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, Hogan was just like, we're just going to do it from my hotel room. I wouldn't put it past that that's what they did. It's like, we're just doing it from my hotel room.
What if they said it was the Cleveland Marriott, but they were actually at a different hotel? So everybody kept going to the Cleveland Marriott while they were totally fine.
The Cleveland Marriott's getting swarmed. They've had to call the SWAT team. Yeah, it's just like helicopters and everything. Meanwhile, they're at the Hyatt down the street. I would love it. I would love it. What I'd also love is to watch some WCW Saturday Night 605, because that's where the stories happen, but we can't watch it because it's not on Peacock. But they got the Rock and Roll Express. They got Chris Benoit and Steve Mongo, whatever. But Public Enemy's going to go against Harlem Heat in a title rematch, and the title will probably change hands there because that's when that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, by the way, spoilers, I think it does.
So there you go. I'm the great Karnak. Titles are going to change on Saturday night. No one's going to get that reference.
No, not at all.
And I'm not going to explain it. Jim Powers and Disco Inferno. Hell of a night.
Mm-hmm.
You love you some Disco Inferno.
Yeah, absolutely. Just fucking the way he's in the ring, and he
your brain just imploded thinking about Disco Inferno.
He does all those things that are entertaining, and yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And now we're back with Mike Tenay backstage. We got Arn, the woman, and Miss Elizabeth. And Arn and woman are mad at Miss Elizabeth because they don't know whose side she's on. Is she with the Horseman or is she with the Macho Man? And I thought we were on the same team. I thought this was Team WCW. Joseph, what do you make of this?
I really enjoyed this. I will say it does overstay its welcome a little bit, but I'll kind of go into what Arn says, because I think it's Arn, right? And like we like matter of fact Arn, and this is what he's doing, right?
Talking Arn, yeah.
Yeah, he says, without being too brash after War Games, didn't we all sit down and realize you had a weak moment? Some old feelings were dug up. We forgave you for that because we've all made mistakes. We made a mistake that night stepping outside the Horsemen. He's referencing bringing in Luger and Sting for that match instead of just 4 horsemen. Now we go to Japan fighting for our lives with some stiff competition. We get home and what do we find? You're out sightseeing, going and flying off on your own. We're either going to win or lose as a cohesive unit. Understand this? She's a horseman, motioning to woman. I'm a horseman. You're a horseman. There's no gray area here. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then woman says, business is business, Liz, and you know this. The horsemen know where I stand. What were you doing out there? And then woman continues to talk, but she kind of just says that point over and over, which is where it kind of overstayed its welcome. She should have just hit that line and stopped. Then Liz says, more complicated than you can know. I don't know what to say. Arn says, I know what to say. I got a big match against a fine young talent coming up real quick. Not to mention Luger at Halloween Havoc. You're either in or you're out. But if you're in, you're all the way in. There's no gray area. Think about that long and hard. I gave us a B plus. I was going to give it an A, but I do think it just stayed a little bit too long.
Arn putting over his young, talented opponent tonight. I wonder who that could be. We'll get to it after the next match, which is Hugh Morris and Brad Armstrong. 4 minutes, 15 seconds, Joseph. Get through this one so we can talk about the good one.
Commentary speculates on why Mach did not show up, even though all of them are suggesting he was unprofessional. Heenan, of all people, comes to his defense, which I loved. Heenan goes, no, I've worked with him forever. He's the most professional person I've ever worked with. He is always here, always on time. Something is going on. And I love that because obviously Heenan is the heel commentator. And God, these face commentators are all kind of bags of shit. They're you know what they are? They're not face commentators, Scott. They're two-faced commentators.
I didn't know where you were going with that. And then when you said, I was like, that's dumb. And I love it.
That was off the cuff, motherfucker. That was great. Hugh Morris hits 2 moonsaults and he gets the win. I gave this a C. The match is fine. Hugh Morris is a competent in-ring performer. I like Brad Armstrong. I don't think either of their characters are interesting.
Hour number 2! It actually happens during the match, which I feel like is a total misstep. We go back to Arn the woman, and they're just telling Miss Elizabeth that she needs to make up her damn mind. And she says, it's complicated. Isn't it always, Miss Elizabeth? Isn't it always? Joseph, you have any thoughts about this?
I mean, nah. It's pretty much the exact same thing we just talked about. So it's like, nah, whatever.
Yep. Well, Eric leaves the commentary table. He's going to go find the Macho Man. He's going to find him, and they're going to confront the New World Order. My God, could you imagine a Macho Man getting into that hotel room?
I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it.
You can?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see. I don't know what you're talking about. In the meantime, though, we got a dream match. I think this is an honest-to-God dream match.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Arn Anderson, Chris Jericho, 2 of the greatest wrestlers ever, in my humble opinion. These guys are Hall of Famers.
It's not an opinion. You're right.
Yeah, they're Hall of Famers.
These are 2 of the greatest ever.
5 minutes, 35 seconds. Tell me about this one, Joseph.
Elizabeth does not come out with Arn, who is absolutely disgusted by this. She leaves backstage during this match. This match, like you said, it's 2 of the greatest of all time. Jericho is obviously very young here, and he will become a much better character performer, but his in-ring work is already exceptional. And they have a banger of a match. And even though I, thoroughly enjoy Jericho, he should not win this match, and he doesn't. Arn wins this very fun matchup with the DDT. I gave this a solid B. This is one of the best things you could watch on the night. And that's not saying anything negative about anything else. It's just, like we said, it's kind of a dream match, right? So this is a fun one to just go back and experience.
And I love how Jericho loses. I think that there's really great in-ring storytelling here because you've got Arn, who is kind of towards the end of his career here. I mean, I think he's pretty much gone after 1997, right? He gets hurt.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the end of it for him. And Jericho's really at the beginning of his career. So you have the old steely veteran versus the young upstart. And Jericho's just doing all kinds of crazy moves and those kind of things. And Arn's just playing it smart. He's playing it technical. Jericho misses the lion salt. Arn gets him, right? It's the rookie mistake. And the guy who's been in the game longer capitalizes on it. And I thought that was a perfect way to win it. I thought it was handled beautifully. It might be my match of the night. Let me look at the card here. I think it's my match of the night. What do you think?
It's match of the night, absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't look at WWF.
We're talking about at least Nitro, but yeah.
I know it's if it's match of the night for WCW, it's probably match of the night. Just across the board.
I can't even think. I genuinely forgot what happened on Raw. So it's going to be a brand new experience for me when I read my notes.
Yeah, it's like all over again. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We got NWO shirt ad, and the Giant says it's slimming.
Buy this shirt.
I kind of laughed at it when the Giant was like,
Yeah.
"It'll make you look skinny."
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, it's great.
As you mentioned, Miss Elizabeth's gone. She packed her bags. She's leaving. Well, that's a big deal. And then we got Lex Luger versus, I think it's M Wall Street now. I think they got rid of VK. Maybe they got maybe they got another letter. It's now M Wall Street. Presumably Michael.
Yeah, I think it's Mike Wall Street. Yeah.
Yeah. 7 minutes, 23 seconds, Joseph. This is a long ass match.
It is. It's a very basic TV match. And I mean that in the best possible way. I don't mean that as a negative in any sort of sense. When I think of like Mike Wall Street or M Wall Street or VK Wall Street or whatever. And there's another person that I'll talk about in the next few weeks that's very similar to this. Everyone kind of remembers when you're a kid and there's those mid-carders that you either love or you hate, right? And he's kind of one of those, right? Where it's just like, he always puts on a competent performance. He's never going to reach the top of the card. He's, very clearly towards the end of his career, but he's doing exactly what needs to happen. And that makes for decent TV. It makes for TV that it's like, I don't feel like I'm wasting any of my time watching this. And this is one of those matches. And apparently after Luger wins with a torture rack, because obviously he's going to win, apparently Eric Bischoff has something for Sting.
Yeah, I just realized we've kind of forgotten to talk about this because it's stupid. NWO has a race car now.
Yeah.
NWO has a race car. And there's a big scandal about who. God, what is? I wrote it down. What is the dude's name? Their race car driver,
Kyle Petty.
Kyle Petty.
Yeah.
About who Kyle Petty's going to race for, because I think he was the WCW driver, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah. So now we're concerned. Who's he going to race for? Because NWO's kind of alluded to the fact that he might be joining them, but WCW says, hold up, we've got a race car too, and now, since we've accused Sting of being a turncoat asshole piece of shit, we're going to put his face on the WCW car.
Yeah.
Because why not? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why this was a thing. I think I've said this before, and we'll see it a lot more as we go on. Like, Bischoff has certain things that he is clearly a fan of, and so that's why it gets on TV and stuff. And I think he's a NASCAR guy.
Even if he isn't, I think it makes sense. WCW is a Southern brand.
Correct. Yeah.
NASCAR's big in the in the South. I think the crossover makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind cross promotion. There was an episode where I went like at length about how good cross promotion can be. So I'm fine with this.
Yeah, I don't even think that race car thing is bad. It's just the storyline angle of Sting leaving. He's gone. He's given them the middle finger. You guys treated me like trash. I'm out. And then they put his face on the hood of the WCW car
as an apology to get him back. Like that's oh, you did that? Okay, I'm definitely coming back now.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, I guess, if someone put my face on a race car as an apology, I mean, that's a pretty big statement.
Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrong you, and then I'm going to put your face on the car, and we'll see if you accept my apology for it.
I would 100%. I'd be hot for it. I'd be in, man. But let's talk about our next match, because we got the Faces of Fear, Joseph. One of my favorite WCW tag teams right now, because they're like one of two actual. Well, let's see. We've got.
We got a lot, dude. Harlem.
That's
Heat,
fair. I guess I knocked WWF. WCW actually has quite a few tag teams. Yeah. They just hardly ever use them.
Yeah. WWF has no tag teams, and then they put people together that should not be in a tag team.
Yes. But we got Faces of Fear. We got Rock and Roll Express. I like both these teams. 8 minutes, 25 seconds, Joseph. How did this one turn out?
What a mismatch. What a mismatch for these two teams. That being said, though, it does, add for kind of a fun time in this, David and, versus Goliath kind of matchup. So I'm fine with that dynamic. Faces of Fear manhandle the Express and gloat after every move, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Ultimately, after a comeback, Ricky Morton grabs Jimmy Hart and Barbarian kicks Morton in the head and gets the 1-2-3. Public Enemy run to their defense, and the Faces of Fear dispatch them easily. So that's good news for Public Enemy, who have a title match coming up, that they just immediately got throttled by a team that's not even going for the title. That's good. All right.
Bodes well.
Yeah. I gave this a C+. It's an entertaining match, not the best match we've seen from either team, but it is fun.
Yeah, I mean, we like both the teams. I really like Faces of Fear.
Yeah,
I think they're fun.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. I like seeing them out here. I liked seeing them lay out Public Enemy because we don't really. Public Enemy's time has come and gone, and it needs.
When was it ever here?
Yeah, I mean, they had like one good. I liked like their first match with the Nasty Boys. It was kind of like a hardcore match, but then they just kept doing that, and I think we're done. I think we're done. Speaking of being done, though, Kyle Petty's done. He's done with the WCW card because he shows up at the NWO hotel party, and he says he didn't even know WCW had a car. How sinister! What did you make of this?
I gave this another C. I'm being very generous with the C on this one, but again, it's not anything as glaringly bad as what WWF's doing, so I'm not going to be too harsh on it. It's whatever. It's okay.
A gentleman's C.
Yeah.
Joseph, you remember when I talked about how WCW got tag teams, but they hardly ever use them?
Yes.
So our main event is Chris Benoit and Rick Steiner.
Nice.
I mean, Chris Benoit, I think, is a singles guy. But
Yeah.
Rick Steiner should be wrestling with his brother.
Is this when Scott is actually injured?
He might be.
Yeah, because I remember, yes, he is, because next week that'll play into it. He is actually injured right now, so there's a reason for that.
I just don't like it. 4
No,
minutes, 25 seconds. Tell me.
Deborah distracts Nick Patrick, and Mongo hits Steiner with the briefcase. Benoit falls on Steiner and gets the win. It's a very simple match. I didn't like this one too much, but they will have a rematch, and that one I thoroughly enjoyed. So, there's a teaser for that. I think that's next week. This is just whatever. It's fine.
Well, that was fast. It's fine. Well, let's wrap it up then, because we're done. We're out. Or are we? Because we go to the NWO hotel party one last time, and Miss Elizabeth is there. What a swerve! That's a harder swerve than Kyle Petty's going to do in the NWO race car. And they're offering her a contract. And she's thinking about it. And Hulk Hogan says, I can get you movie deals, all kinds of things. My goodness. My goodness. Vincent is there, formerly known as Virgil. Is this the first time we've seen Vincent? I can't even remember.
No. He actually debuted last week when you were dead.
That's right. I died and I can't remember it.
Yeah,
it's not good. Vincent shouldn't.
No.
May he rest in peace, Vincent Virgil. He passed.
Yeah.
But no, he shouldn't
Yeah.
have.
3 people who definitely should not have been in the NWO: Giant, Vincent, and Eric Bischoff.
Yep. That's fair. Ms. Elizabeth says, she got to think about it. She starts walking down the hall, and there's the Macho Man. We found him. And he thinks Elizabeth is up to something. He thinks this is a setup. He's mad.
Yeah, I do think the idea for this is good, and I gave this a B because he fucking loses his shit, right? And she's like crying and stuff, and she runs away, and he's like screaming and stuff. I do think he really wanted to, in character, destroy the fuck out of this hallway, but like they would have to pay for those damages, so he didn't. Again, good idea, but I do think it's a little convoluted in how they're presenting it. Essentially, what they're trying to get over, and this will become clearer as the weeks go on, is that she's making a deal with the NWO to protect Macho Man. That's the idea. He doesn't know this.
Man, that's beautiful, though.
And he doesn't know this. So from his perspective, she's just, screwing him over again. But in actuality, that's not what she's trying to do. She's actually trying to help him. And then obviously it will go south. So that's the idea here. But they spend so much time, like you said, talking about, I can get you movie deals. I can get you this, instead of focusing on hey, let's tell a fucking story that's actually going on here. so you never really get that when you're watching it. You figure it out and you put the pieces together over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, they could have just told us.
Yeah.
Right, in the hotel room, because Macho's outside. He doesn't need to know, right?
Correct. Yeah, because you
They could have
need.
just straight up said to Miss Elizabeth, "You join us, and we'll leave him alone. We'll leave him alone." And she's like, "You won't hurt him anymore? Yeah, we'll leave him alone. You just have to join us." And then she's like, "I don't know," and she walks out, and she doesn't want to tell Macho, obviously, because Macho's a man. In fact, he's a macho man, and his ex-wife is trying to save him. He's like, "No, I can handle it myself." She doesn't want to tell him, It could have been beautiful. And instead, it's just weird and it gets uncomfortable. And I kind of
He broke there.
the whole thing was uncomfortable. The hallway thing just was kind of uncomfortable to me, Just
It's uncomfortable because when he's yelling at her, like you kind of feel like it's not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Macho Man was a bad guy.
No.
I think they had a troubled relationship.
So this, all right, we can get this real quick.
Let's do it.
Everyone's like, all the wrestlers of the time are like, oh my God, he was so possessive of her, blah, blah. And he wouldn't let her like hang out with the boys and da, da, da. Yeah. When she did, she got fucking killed. That's why he did that. Because
got a drug problem and died.
Yeah. Because he knew how the boys were treating all of their wives and stuff like that. And like the swinging and all that shit. Why do you think Hogan loves banging his friends' wives?
Allegedly.
There's no alleged about that. It is fucking video evidence. We know it's true.
It's on video.
Yeah. So there's two things we know about
Love Sponge.
Yeah.
What a fucking name.
So also nothing poor about him. Fuck that guy. Anyways, but so like there's a good reason why he was like very protective of her. Did he potentially go?
He was possessive.
Yeah. But it wasn't out of
too
malice.
far, but for good reasons.
Yeah, because he knew what could happen, and it did create a division between them, an understandable one, and they split up. It was not great. And to be fair to WCW, they aren't the first ones who have exploited this. WWF and the whole Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth getting married thing, they were already divorced when that happened. So WWF exploited this well before WCW. By the time WCW got in, they were like, well, it's logical. WCW gets the shaft for this, but it's like WWF was doing this well before these guys.
Uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, we got WWF next.
Speaking of uncomfortable.
Yeah, right? So let's talk about it, because we're in Hershey Park Arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania. They make the chocolates there. They really do, I think.
It's beautiful.
I
don't know if that's true, but I'm going to believe you.
You know what? Let me Google. Hold on, let me clippy clock it on my Google machine here.
There you go. Those clicky clocks are not going to pick up.
I know, but the people can know. Imagine your own clippity clocks. It's in a township of Derry. Holy shit. Let's see here. The Hershey Company. It is home to the Hershey Company, which was founded by candy magnate Milton S. Hershey and Hershey Park. An amusement park. I didn't actually know there's an amusement park there. So that's kind of...
Does it still exist?
Hold on. Let me clippity clap again because I closed the window.
I'll do it for you. Clickety clack, clickety clack, 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 clickety clack, 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 clack.
Thank you. Yes, It is. It's the largest amusement park in Pennsylvania.
Nice. We got to go.
Yeah, I think so. We'll do an episode live. Live from Hershey Park.
Don't say that, because then
if you're listening, Hershey Park, if you're listening, big fans of the pod.
Absolutely. It's proud.
We'll do a show live. We can guarantee you maybe 70 people. Anyways, I'm letting this go along, Joseph, because you want things to we're offering this new thing where we're gonna do the live, uncensored and uncut version of these podcasts on the Patreon. So that's why if you've noticed the time here, Joseph, you're thinking, man, we are going long. I'm doing it on purpose. Don't think I haven't thought about it. Anyways, let's get into Raw. I was about to say Nitro. Wishful thinking. We got Kevin Kelly, Jim Ross, and Jerry Lawler, because this is that weird time where Vince is not at the commentary table. He comes back. I don't know why, but he's not there right now. And we got Steve Austin and Jake the Snake Roberts in a 10-minute match. that ends as one would expect, unfortunately. Joseph, why don't you tell us about it?
Well, until the ending, it's actually a very entertaining match. Jake eventually hits the DDT, but Austin puts his foot on the rope during the 3 count, so that's why Jake doesn't win. And then Lawler comes out with a bottle of Jim Beam, and he spits Jim Beam at Jake, and then Austin hits the stunner for the win. Then Savio Vega chases off Austin with a leather strap. What? Why? Okay. Apparently they're feuding again. All right. News to us. Maybe it happened on WCW Saturday Night, and that's why we
Could
don't
be
know about it.
605. Yeah, well, as everyone knows, Steve Austin's kryptonite is the Caribbean strap.
Yeah.
So
All right. They will have a match at the next pay-per-view because they're kind of like they're buying time until they can kind of get to the Bret Hart thing because that's taking forever. And I don't know if Bret Hart's even under contract at this point. I know they're negotiating with him. And then they're going to sign him to a lifetime deal and he'll never leave the WWF. Anyways, let's move on.
dun, dun.
Oh, I should say I gave it a B.
Oh yeah, because I just clicked what you said while I was saying dun dun dun. You said move on. I'm just sitting there waiting for you to finish. Anyways, man, that joke is deader than our next segment. Because we go live, well, taped, to the grave site. Because Mankind and Undertaker are going to do a coffin match, buried alive. I don't even remember anymore because I don't care. But it's Mankind, and he's digging Undertaker's grave. And he says, if I dig it, he will come. This is a dark-ass Field of Dreams, man. What'd you make of this? I liked it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's very quick. I didn't give it a grade or anything because it's literally exactly what you said. There's nothing more to it.
Then we move on to Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he's got a bone to pick with Mr. Perfect because Mr. Perfect keeps stealing Hunter's women. And he wants to have a match. He wants to settle this man-to-man in the ring. What'd you think about this, Joseph?
I liked it. And then he joins on commentary.
Yeah, and we like Hunter on commentary.
I like Hunter in general, so
yeah, to be fair, I mean, he's single-handedly saving the well, I mean, I guess him and Nick Khan single-handedly saving the WWE over there.
you know, people really got to give Vince McMahon respect. He single-handedly saved them by leaving.
I mean, that's fair. Well, I mean, reluctantly. Like, there are claw marks on the walls of the office in Stamford, Connecticut, as they were dragging him out. But anyways, yeah. And then after that, we got the Godwins versus Jason and Jared Grimm.
Yeah.
What is this, Joseph? 2 minutes, 24 seconds.
You don't recognize the Grimm twins?
You know, I didn't. I did not, to tell you the truth. Have we ever seen them before? I don't think so, right?
No, not once. Helmsley, like I said, like we said, he's on commentary and he calls Mr. Perfect a has-been. Mr. Perfect responds in picture and says he has respect for Helmsley and accepts the challenge, but will do him a favor and give Hunter a couple of weeks to get into shape, which was hilarious. I loved it. The Godwins win with a slop drop in a fucking awful match that I gave an F.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
Speaking of slop, Jeff Jarrett's left the company.
Yeah.
And he going to WCW. They must know because they've decided that they're going to try to destroy the man's career.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so now they have this big scandal because Jeff Jarrett walked out to a song. His whole gimmick in WWF was that he was like a kind of like a country singer. He sang songs. And he came out to a song that he supposedly sang, but he didn't. We're told that the real Double J is the roadie, Jesse James.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, Joseph, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, this is bad. So this is a continuation. They broke the news last week, in which you of course don't remember because you were dead. They broke the news last week, and then this week they're continuing it. And the new tidbit we get is that Jesse James was told by Jeff Jarrett that he would take him to Stardom. And kill me now. This is horrible and it gets an F.
It's not good, and we're still living with this mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're a year ahead in our watch together, and there's the roadie is still the roadie, and it's gotten worse somehow. And this is no offense to Jesse James, BG, whatever his name is. Yeah, it's this is so fucking bad.
Jesse James does what he can. I feel like he tries.
Yeah, he works his ass off to make it work, and it's not.
And it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just does not work. But after that, we got Savio Vega and fake Razor Ramon.
I mean, this is the real Razor Ramon. It's just not Scott Hall.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Well, tell me about this match. 9 minutes, 30 seconds. And we've got a big surprise for the audience, don't we, Joseph?
Sure. I don't remember what you're saying, but absolutely. Why not? Gorilla Monsoon is at commentary and argues with JR whether or not this is actually Razor. Monsoon and JR trade barbs back and forth. Fake Razor hits Scott Hall moves, but not well at all. And then, this might be the surprise you're talking about.
This is it.
Fake Diesel comes in and punches Vega for the DQ. It's all bad and it gets an F.
You don't like fake Diesel power?
I will say, of the two, I prefer fake Diesel.
They should have named him Ethanol.
This is so dumb.
See, I think the thing I hate about this gimmick the most.
Before you go into this, I mentioned this on the last episode that you kind of have a theory as to how to make this work, but I teased it for listeners. So go ahead, shoot your shot.
I think the biggest problem with the fake Diesel thing is I don't think they know what to do with it, right? They play it straight, but then they lose, right? Like, what's the angle here? I think the angle is just to embarrass Scott Hall and Razor Ramon, or Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. It's just complete pettiness. But I think if they had kind of played this up for laughs, like if Jim Ross thought he was really bringing them back and then these two dudes show up and they just kind of play it straight, like everyone knows they're not the real guys, but they don't want to admit it and they just kind of play it straight, but like we all know, I thought it could work. And I don't feel like they know what to do with it. And I think the whole point of it is just to be mean.
So essentially what it should have been was a comedy gimmick where the two of them know they are not Razor and Diesel, but JR doesn't.
Yeah.
I think that could have worked. Like, especially if JR kept defending it like he's doing, and these two guys clearly know they aren't, but they're like, it's a paycheck. Let's fucking do it.
I think they could have done something with it, but it just seems like the point is just to be mean.
Yeah,
to Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Like, this is what you guys get for leaving. And that's just petty doesn't work.
Well, this is kind of to your point, right? Because they're actually doing the same thing with the Jesse James thing. We'll go into that in a few weeks. But what you're talking about is that there's no payoff, right? There's no way to make this work at the end. Whereas if you did it your way, the payoff is obviously that at some point, these two guys have to admit they aren't actually Razor and Diesel. That's the payoff that you can build towards with shenanigans and comedy and levity to kind of, give a break during all the other seriousness that's hopefully going on in your show. Because comedy acts are great. I love comedy acts when they're done well. But there's no payoff. So there's no way to fucking give a shit about this.
Yeah, because this is Jim Ross's big, like, F you to the WWF, right? That's the story. Because Jim Ross is a heel now for completely legitimate reasons that make him not a heel in my eyes.
Yeah.
But, like, this is to embarrass the WWF, and they should just play into it. Because he even at the end says, like, this is how WWF now knows how it feels, right? But they don't. Anyways, I'm mad. I think we should bury this topic and move on to our next item. Over at the grave site.
Jesus Christ. That was a reach.
I'm full of segues tonight, Joseph. You could call me Paul Blart Mallcott for how many segues I'm on right now.
Jesus.
Don't hate the player, hate the game, bro. Undertaker now digging a grave. Everybody digging graves.
What's funny is this is the same site
It's this. It is exactly the same.
Could you imagine if they were just like 12 yards away from each other, just
Kind of looking at
holding
each other,
frames?
or like, or or they're both down in holes and dirt starts flying in, and they kind of poke their heads out and they're just right next to each other.
Oh my
If
god.
we had a wrestling promotion, it would be the stupidest shit, but it'd be good.
Digging up a hole, dig it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, and that would be our holes tie-in.
Yeah. Cross
Brought to you by
promotions.
Disney's Holes, available wherever movies are.
Shia LaBeouf just fucking hits a flying clothesline.
Bro, that'd be hot though. That'd be hot. Yeah, he's digging a hole for mankind and says he's gonna bury mankind alive. It's basically the same promo, just in reverse, right? You got anything more?
I actually liked this one less because he says, "I knew Paul Bear's plan the whole time." What? Then why'd you let it happen?
Because he's a dead man, he can't be killed.
It made no sense.
He don't
Didn't
care.
enjoy this one.
He don't care. Anyways, after that, we got our main event, and it's Shawn Michaels and Jose Lothario versus Vader and Jim Cornette. But I gotta say, I do love Jim Cornette's outfit.
Yes, it's great.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, and this one, let me forward my notes. 9 minutes 30 seconds. Tell me about it, Joseph.
Apparently, Sonny and Farouk split last week because the commentary tells us that. We didn't see it, so it must have happened on WCW Saturday Night 605.
605, where the stories happen, apparently for everybody.
Yeah. Vader and HBK have great chemistry, especially when HBK is not screaming and kicking him in the head. Cornette wants to tag in when Shawn is beaten up. He takes forever. You finally got there?
I did. Well, I was muted, but I was like, Joseph told me this week that he doesn't like when I'm muted because he drops bangers that get nothing.
They do. I intentionally don't mute unless I have to. That way I can react to your bangers.
And I just told you, I don't break character till the DVD commentary. But anyways, Joseph, go on.
Cornette wants to tag in when Shawn is beaten up. He takes forever, and Jose Lothario beats him up until Vader comes in and then throws Lothario to the ropes where he tags Shawn, and Shawn hits a forearm, then the kip up, then the diving elbow, and he misses the sweet chin music. Vader goes for a Vader bomb, but Shawn gets his legs up, then hits a scoop slam on Vader, which I was very impressed by. He goes for a second one, but falls this time because Vader's obviously very big and it's kind of, too much to do it a second time. Vader then hits a power bomb and finally the Vader bomb for the win. Psycho Sid attacks Vader and then Goldust attacks Sid and then HBK fights Goldust as the show closes. I'm giving this a very generous C. I will say that I liked everything Vader and HBK did. All respect to Jose Lothario. He's too old to be doing this. His body's too broken down.
Yes.
Jim Cornette sells like a motherfucker for him, which he did, I think, at the pay-per-view as well, which I did enjoy from Jim Cornette. So it's fine. I don't actually hate the idea of this. What I do hate is everything that happens after the match.
You don't like the pull apart?
No, because it doesn't serve any fucking purpose. That's why I don't like it. Because why is Goldust in this?
I don't know, man. because Goldust and Psycho Sid gonna fight next week. That's why.
I will say I thought the end was fine of this show. I thought the beginning was quite good of the show, but the middle is horrible.
Yeah, I did actually like this match for the most part. I like Vader. I like Shawn. I was surprised that Vader won. I was kind of pleased with that outcome. I was like, oh, they swerved me on this. You're right. Jose Lothario was a fantastic wrestler when he was a younger man. He is too old to do it now. Should not be doing this. You're right. I do enjoy Jim Cornette because he's doing what he's got to do, man.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Cornette, the on-stage personality, I love.
Yeah,
I think he's good at everything. He really puts everything into it, and he does here too. Overall, not bad. You're right, though. It just kind of is chaos. I'm not really sure what's Goldust's beef with Shawn. I don't think we've had any beef with Shawn. It really apparently is it's because of Psycho Sid, because they say that next week Psycho Sid's going to go against Goldust, so I guess it's to create some heat for that. But that's really all it is. We're not really telling stories, and the stories we are telling, like fake Razor Ramon and fake Diesel, are not good.
Yeah, or they're on WCW Saturday Night 605.
That's true. That's very true. Watch it.
Buy this shirt.
But who won, Joseph? Who won?
I'm going to give this one to Nitro.
You know, I think you're right. I should go back and find out what week into the streak we're in, right? I don't know.
I could tell you right now.
Get in the Google machine.
I'm not going to do it on Google. I'm going to do it on my phone. I'm going to open up Spotify.
Clicky clack, clicky clack.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I need that. Okay, so this would be episode 57 that we're on, correct?
Yeah.
All
that's
right. Let's see. 83 weeks happened. The first of 83 weeks happened on episode 42. So it's been 15 weeks.
15 weeks of just some of the most trash WWF I have ever seen.
Yeah.
This is not the worst episode.
No.
We did one a couple weeks back, and I think the title was "Is this the worst WWF Raw ever?"
Yeah.
I think that one is still in the lead.
Yeah.
But this is not good.
Yeah.
WCW could, like, the NWO is super hot. Like, let's not say it's not. Let's not lie about it. Yeah. But they could do almost anything, I feel, at this point and still be better than WWF.
I agree.
It's just not good. I'm done. I'm done. Let's stop until we have to do this again next week. What do you think?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Well, bye everybody.
Bye guys. Hey everybody, it's Joseph. And guess what? Not only can you listen to us every Monday on Spotify, but you can find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Podcasts as well. Just search for Monday Night Wars Podcasts. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at MON Night Wars Pod, on Instagram at Monday Night Wars Podcast, or just email us at mnwpodcast@gmail.com. And finally, subscribe to our Patreon at Monday Night Wars Podcast. For $2 a month, you get every pay-per-view from WCW and WWF during this era, as well as additional content later on. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you here next time on the Monday Night Wars Podcast.